What is going on, everyone? Welcome. It is Friday, July 10th, 2026. You're watching Trading Trends with John Salama, CMT, and Rocco, the all-time high Maltese dog. Although not too many all-time highs today, except in Cybersecurity. Also, yes, a new Rolling Stones album out today. So old things are new again. Let's get into the tape here. A lot of good stuff going on. Sometimes in not some areas. We're getting hit today in biotech. It's been on a heck of a run, but it's giving back here. A couple other things. Wednesday, come out to Connolly's. We are going to do a month-over-month wrap on everything that going on in the market. So probably Korea, semis. We're going to get into it. So Ethereum, who knows what else. All right, let's get into it. Today, there's some things happening in Brazil. Okay, so right now, very low volume. We're on pace for about 35 to 40 million shares in SPY. It's truly a summer Friday. Brazil, but we are squeaking higher. S&P less than 1% away from new all-time highs. VXX cratering, going lower as it is tending to do. Brazil retail and materials having a big day, up 2%. And it's coming at the expense of the recent leaders for the most part, biotech and cyber and nat gas continuing to go lower, down 3%. Is that group of names. Bifurcation totally within the energy complex of the assets of nat gas versus an oil itself, and also new all-time highs for cyber. A pretty interesting week. SPY is up 1.25%. We'll see what happens at the end of the day in 2 hours or so. But the S&P had a very strong week, up 1.5%. And really, when you step back and I look at the biggest movers, this week was characterized by a 9% drop in nat gas, smaller, traded asset, fine, but also big 5% advances, finding allocation money, finding its way to typical, what has been historically for the past many months, if not upwards of a year, losers in Chinese internet and Ethereum. And honestly, I did a lot of overlays, and Bitcoin really does look like Chinese tech, looks like KWEB, and now risk has gone into those two assets. So we'll take a look at all these important charts I just mentioned, and we'll see if there's more meat on the bone, something actionable to do right here, right now, so on, so forth, what have you. All right, so let us get into it. Let me go into the good old dashboard panel. If you have something, put it in. We'll take a look. There's still stuff bouncing around today. All right, NVIDIA, big 4% rally to $210. They are loving some select semis today, or actually most semis. Meta, a monster 6% move today. AMD back in the love column here, in the win column, getting some love, up 2%. Intel down, like I said, selectively some semis and not others. SpaceX down 2 to 149. That one on sale. Google off by 1%. So again, bifurcation within the communication complex, the ETF of XLC. Meta really carrying XLC higher today. And that's about it. A lot of inside moves. All right. Opening bell here at 9:30. And then I don't know if you were looking closely at the tape, probably not. Beautiful day here on the East Coast. There was an ugly sell-off at 10:30. Almost looks like a fat finger. If you can see here, there's a massively tall candle here. It would stretch from 753 to 748. And then nice rally. For me, when something like that happens in the market, my test, even with a small sample size of an hour and a half VWAP, or an hour of VWAP going to that point, I look at that figure, and then in there was 751.75. I saw we got above it, and that's when we know off into the races. That's the true test. And there, as I said, we are making new highs on the day as we speak right here, right now, 754.58. It just came off there. I always say this is an intraday chart, but when you go break out from a former area of resistance combined with overbought, they buy first and ask questions later. That could take us to 755 by the end of the day. Not a huge, massive amount of thrust here, but obviously more buying pressure than selling. SPY leading the indices. They're all pretty much up 35 bips. IWM going the other way, down 30. As I zoom out here, let's get away from the noise of just intraday. As we zoom out here for SPY, absolutely, this is such an important candle here on the 26th. We said this was an amazing thing. It got some suckers out, selling here on the 26th. It was difficult. It's not going to be perfect. Unfortunately, I sold some. I think it was at I target VWAP usually, but still versus the high of day. So not perfect. But that's not what we try and do here as trading, is be perfect. We try to make more than you lose here. And now it was right after that day. This is what you want to see, combination of technical indicators with strength in the pattern. So you look at this candle here. You knew that was an oopsie. They wanted to get people to sell below 720, easily under 727, which was VWAP on the day. And boom, what happens the next day? It was almost as if they knew that the lowest price the next day was going to be 732 and so on and so forth. And we, again, garner that above a 50 RSI. More buying pressure than selling. And I'm looking at the short-term candles here as we bounce off the 21-day exponential. It looks like we are headed somewhere near, I would say, the 760 area. So which is essentially its all-time high is 760.40. So we'll see. I would like to see us break above 60 RSI to kind of confirm that. But I do think with these candles here for the past 3 days, look at us close on the highs, and we're breaking out almost essentially versus 3 weeks. 3-week breakout really doesn't mean a whole lot, but I'm looking at this pattern, and if you can take out 757, which are $3 away from here, and if things go well over the weekend, and that's too many ifs for me, I just look at charts, we could obviously thrust higher, and VXX is really taking a you-know-what. So overall, I do expect it to get to 760, not a massive move higher. I don't think we're going to go to like 775 in the next week or two. It's possible, but overall, we're trying to get the direction. I don't care about time as much. So I do think the direction is higher, targeting somewhere around like a 763, like just barely a break, a penetration above the all-time high, and then a rest within like 0.5% of is what like kind of would make sense, because it would lure people in all-time highs, and then rest, probably get back somewhere around that 745 mark, which is your 21 EMA, would make a lot of sense. Let us get in the internals of the day and all these things that are moving, and you'll see if you have more or less conviction. A big rally here in Brazil. It's been happening. It's not just today. We're looking at the multiple sigma movers. This is interesting. Look at this formation. This group, I love charts like this. This group, Brazil, peaked in mid-April, okay? It peaked at $42, and then horrendous times fell on it just in early June, literally 5 weeks ago. A rising 200-day moving average. You always want to give a dog a bone. Even an ugly confirmation here. You close under the 200-day moving average, you're oversold. You're looking at, what is that? 5 months lows. Hideous, right? But look, it held 33.5. Truly, it held 33.5, which was the former highs going back to the fall and early winter of this year, especially when volume really started getting into EWZ at the end of January with the commodity boom and everything else. So this is an unbelievable candle today, up 3%. Remember what I always say, if sometimes it pays to be a lazy trader, wait for this consolidation. You get this view. What is the 200-day moving average? It's truly the price consensus averaged out over the past year. Right now in Brazil, rising up, right? To the minute right here, that value is $35. Today, we leapfrogged above that by 3%, which also coincides, interestingly enough, with the 50-day moving average. So it's had, strong days here. Very interesting chart. The candles to me look magnificent. VWAP on the day is 35.66, and they've taken that above it by 1%. Love the chart here above, also 50 RSI just as of a day or two. So that usually coincides, like I said, when you go above the 200 moving average. So there's going to be algos that are sniffing out the strength right here, right now. This to me looks like it does want to move a little bit closer towards this confluence of prior price discovery around 37.5. In the global bull market that we're experiencing, they're spreading into parts of China specifically. You'll see what I mean. So I don't want to, and look, it's above a rising 200-day moving average, 60 RSI. Can't sneeze at it, dude. So I think this wants to target 37.5 in the near term on this surge here. The high is right here, right now, 35.98. So they're absolutely loving Bovespa. iTub is ripping. So you can obviously play the individual Brazilian names too if you have an ADR listed and it's liquid. Trades here. Do you have a breakout? You are essentially breaking out, through May 29. That is valid candidate in the turtle system. Bang, ATR is 68. You can round it to 70 here. So $1.40, you buy it right here at $36. If it goes against you by $1.40, get out of the trade because it could be going, even lower, 32 handle, something like that. You don't want to see it test. Otherwise, enjoy that potential rally towards 37.5. That's the way I would play it. Otherwise, I think because it is Brazil, I may eye and look at selling. July's only got another week. You can maybe look at selling the 33 puts in July, maybe August if you believe in the story. I think it could be a nice collection. Also, you would buy something against it, some trash July, 30 puts, just in case you're wrong. I kind of like that trade. Otherwise, if you believe in the longer term bull story, potentially take a look at the October 38 calls and then sell something against it. So those are all valid trades if you want the Brazil story. Again, that's not tech. It's not straight up AI. It's not biotech. It's a different global rally. And if things work out, this could be headed back towards $41. So Brazil, some very actionable trades right there, right now. They're loving it today. Multiple Sigma move up 3%. Brazil. I don't think, yes, there we go. Retail. Okay. Up 1.5% today, a strong move. Is it due to the correlation? Typically, now what's been going on is oil down, XRT up, oil up, XRT down. Today, oil is down 1.2%. And here is a retail. Very interesting chart. You do look at retail, XLY as well. Let me confine and give you some more. My first screen is freezing. A little bit more context for XRT here. Peaked back in early January during the tranquil times of the markets earlier in 2026, before these new tranquil times, essentially at $91.5, $92, and then fell into purgatory early March, right when the war started. Oil ripped. Folks aren't going to the gap. Big problems. And now you've had, well, that was closed below the 200-day. You've had a really formidable rally here since June 18th, above a 200-day moving average, although it's still going it's basically flat at 84.80. If you really get in the weeds, it's going up a penny a day, but it just started regaining that trend. And this has held above a 48 RSI, curve fitting, I know, but above essentially the neutral 50 RSI point since the end of May. So all told, constructive. I just, due to the new strikes, and this is oil's headline driven a lot of the time, and to an extent, we just did the correlation. So retail then is driven by that. And with the new strikes, I don't love this group. I think, like I said, I'd rather Brazil. There's other groups that had actionable trades. This, I think, will have a not so great week. Just do a lot of this. I had recommended, I think, selling strangles on this name just due to this. Sometimes you can be really almost cheat or whatever. If you have a flat 200-day moving average like this, the market specifically is telling you on this name to kind of look at selling strangles just because it's doing a whole lot of nothing over the past year. So you zoom in fractally, look at the ripple of the wave of the water and try to extract some alpha. So I think the call I suggested was selling the 89, give yourself some room and probably sell like something like the 80s and just do that in perpetuity if it doesn't take up too much margin in your account. It's XRT. It's not a massive mover with $1.64 ATR on an $88 name. That being said, I think this one's going south towards a 200-day moving average. The trade for me would be with risk. This has risk. Selling the 80, that's too risky. Sell that because you don't want oil, another ceasefire, blah, 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 and then this name rips and your short call spreads in a global open market with a name that's been above 50 RSI. I would still sell the 91 calls. That's 3 above spot and 7 above the 200-day. And then underneath, probably sell the 82s in terms of the strangle. Otherwise, I would sell those upside 91 calls, always buy something against it. But yes, overall, I think it's going to be range bound, though, between the 89 and 82 handle. So a couple of trades on XRT. It is having a strong day today, though, almost directly inverse to oil, up 1.4 here, minus 1.2 in the oil. And then again, XLB, we had this with the shock the other day. Oil, the materials was down a big 2.6%. That's massive for materials. And then boom, now it's having a good day, up 1.5 again, contra to oil move. Let's see if this has a different read in terms of going forward. So this is not straddling 200-day, being lousy. This is a beautiful rising 200-day moving average. It did peak back here in February, just a couple of weeks after the previous name we looked at in retail. Beautiful hold of the 200-day, even while being oversold here in the third week of March. This name, to me, is very I want to say relatively strong. Look at the chart, rising 200-day, right? With that slope. But do understand this has been losing to SPY in terms of relative strength ever since right here. If I were to do the overlay or a comparison, SPY is beating. So there's more rising to obviously like Mag 7, ironically, because some folks think that's dying, but it's been more mega cap and hyperscalers than straight up materials. Yet this has a fantastic chart. I think this is going to base here. So a couple things here. I think it's going to base holding that floor of $49. I don't think that's going to be tested. 48.5 is the 200 moving average. I don't think that's going to be in question. I actually like this being scooped up under 51 quarter if you're able. Why 51 quarter? That's the 21-day exponential moving average. View up on the day is 50.80. They're saying ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it. This one looks higher. It's going to base here. It's not going to be a straight line due to the weakness of SPY, and SPY has just been doing gangbusters with the beta chase. But I like scoopies under 51 quarter here, and my target is $53. It's a little bit of a slow mover, 90-cent ATR. That would be the way I would do it here, straight up like buying stock, or you can do October. I always like giving myself a bit of time, and I don't love that because it's just significant resistance. It's going to be a little bit top, but probably like a 53 October calls, and then sell the July 53 is against us to subsidize the trade. Whew, all right, we're doing a lot of talking here. Okay, biotech, it's had a big week, but a very down day. ARCG is really giving me pain today, although you can't shake a stick at it because had a look at this rise. Your player can't be scoring 45 points a game every single day, and then when he turns the ball over and scores 12 points, you cut them off the team. Okay, so that's why stops in respect with a trailing of the highest close is 4. All right, so my ATR, this is XBI, ARCG is in the further chart, but look at this, straight up overbought, many green. I mean, this thing speaks for itself, and this is exactly what I said earlier on the intraday SPY chart. Overbought from breakout from a former area, going with overbought, you're going to have its fuel, its kerosene. That is going to go boom, okay? The day that occurred was June 24th. So if you want to say, oh, I was late in biotech, it's been ripping for a year. Cool. You can always make money fractally. You don't have to be in a trend for 10 months, okay? June 24th, I know traders that specifically when stuff gets exactly like that, you start to buy 35 delta calls 1, 2, 3 months out, because exactly when it happened was 150 spot, and it ended up going 2 weeks later to 165 straight up. What is that, 10% rally or so? And obviously in options, so much more if you just went out and bought the separate October upsides. So look for that tech indicator confirmation. Over breakout, break, or breakdown, but you do break out with an over 70 RSI, and inversely for pieces of crap that you want to sell short, breakdowns under. Obviously, 200-day moving average also has to be sliding lower, and a collapse from a former area. I'll see if it's in another chart with a 30 RSI. Everything's inverse. Okay, it's like accounting. Everything always makes sense. Probably why my psychotic nature loves how everything equals itself here. XBI here. This just had a magnificent rally. Sometimes you get a lot and a little. Typically, when you have charts like this, you go from the absolute top to like the 21-day in a hurry, and then it stabilizes and then it goes higher. This trend looks absolutely great. This hasn't thought about touching its 200-day moving average since August of last year. That's 11 months of just straight to the moon. And if we are higher for longer, usually, typically, historically, it's hurt a group like this, which wants lower rates, right, for high growth products to fund them, right? But biotech is doing just fine doing with it. So right here, I personally just would be careful with chasing this right here, because I think some stops may be taking people out. This looks like it may be settling down to 151, 152. If you then have an invitation, and if you're lucky to get in, I would. They shot it as low today as 156. Super strong name. View up was 160. So it's still a little bit in the dumps, obviously down 3% on the day. But this thing's been overbought. Look at this thing here from to July 10th, okay? That's literally, I remember just putting in Claude, getting in the highs list and lows list and seeing what are good candidates and how stretched some are. And biotech, just rising RSI every day, confirming the primary trend. But it looks like maybe, and again, just last thing on this, They shot as high as 166 yesterday. 164 was VWAP. It closed there, and now a bit of a plunge. So we'll see where it rests to. I do think it's not insane if this goes to 151 over the next 2 or 3 weeks. We'll see. It's possible. Like I said, I'm long ARKG and watching my stop closely. Next, cybersecurity, the bell of the ball today, new all-time highs before having an intraday reversal down 2.5%. Look at this. Boom, cup and handle here. This is a yearly chart. It got to this exact point from May 29th, June 2nd. Isn't that interesting? $94. They got it this morning, $94.60. And then rug pull, VWAP, $92.75. Today, right here, right now, below that by about $1. The more AI everyone's going to need, and Claude goes down, and maybe people don't get work done, you're going to need to invest in cybersecurity, and these companies are going to have to do it, obviously, on an enterprise level. Allocation of dollars of global capital is now going that way. This is having a momentum breakout. Interesting reversal right here, right now, and you got a bit of a bearish confirmation here because the RSI never confirmed. So we got new all-time highs, and yet the RSI couldn't scratch 63. Not so, strong to me, but it has been kicking spies. But since, like I said, the similar period of mid-May, look at this, a clean break here on May 7th, overbought. You didn't quite get the breakout from former resistance, but you got the overbought characteristic here from May 7th all the way to June 4th, almost a month straight to that point, exhausted the buyers, brought it's down the mean reversion here down to about $82, just a touch below its 21-day exponential moving average at the time, and then boom, back to new all-time highs. Last thing on this, tell me indicators and technicals mean nothing. Look at how the RSI got to 50 only, and folks said, no, there's a line here. Okay, we're buying Modelo's. You can go get your PBRs over there. That line will be short. We're buying premium, cocktails, margaritas, tequila, smoke, etc. And it rested there, and that coincided exactly with an $82 floor before rising again here to new all-time highs. Strong name. This is a weird one because typically, it is a breakout, right? So if you want to technically buy it, I like to always see it hold VWAP. So I want to see it get above 92.75 to confirm at least that, and it's still going to be a down day. But if you want to buy as a strong name above 50 RSI, my goodness, since the week after the ceasefire, when it was a week after the 52-week low, don't forget, cybersecurity stocks were at a 52-week low March 27th. That's wild. And now we're talking about all-time highs. That's insane. And if you can't get your mind wrapped around that, it went from $60 to $94, a gain of 50% in 3 months. So Palo Alto, all these companies in here can go much higher. I like it. Technically, what you're supposed to do on a breakout like this is you look at the ATR. It's 270, so $5.40. You could buy it right here, right now at $92. Be careful. If it gets to 86 half, get out though, because this could mean revert to like $82. Otherwise, enjoy those potential gains. It's all green, blue skies ahead. This could go to par, $100. There is no resistance. This is the max chart, highest valuation in human history for cybersecurity stocks right here, right now, before an intraday reversal. More realistically, they probably let this go down to like 88. If it does happen in the next day, week, 2 weeks, and then they buy them. But this looks like it does head to $100 at some point in the next probably early August, if not earlier. Mid-August, if not earlier. And then lastly, the losers. To close out the losers, natural gas. They don't like this name. It's had a really bad week. Not gas down 2% today. We're talking about it because it's a multiple standard deviation mover for it still. Woof, talk about technicals. 52-week high January 30th, kiss of death. Next day went under a sliding 200 moving average, and even with the war, no war, although straight up Hormuz is not straight up. Natural gas, although it is somewhat correlated, obviously, with the rise in oil prices and Brent, got to a sliding 200 moving average, and then boom, now an ugly candle. But look at this. It didn't quite sink to 52-week lows, but man, it is very close. Crazy charts here. January 15th was the 52-week low at 995. Interesting candle. It sank to as low as 1036. VWAP is 1058, and it just got above it by 3 cents. So a little bit of dare I call it, strength from natural gas. I think this is one you're investing, trading in a loser. I think this is one's going to base around. It's even lower Bollinger Band. I think this one's going to hold in around 10.5. And I do think has a somewhat dead cat bounce rally to right around 11.5. There's so many better plays in the global bull market, but some people obviously always need uncorrelated exposure and alpha. I do think this one gets to 11.5. This potentially is the hammer that they stuck in it today. The confirmation would be, to me, seeing it close above 1058. Even that would be strength coming off its 1036 lows. And I do think you have a rally towards 11.5 trades. Just so you could buy the stock. It's kind of volatile. Not that volatile. It's 39 cents on a piece of crap, $10 name. Otherwise, you could buy the October 12 calls. There's better trades than this, but I do think it'll make money. Sell something against it as well. Another easier thing would probably be selling, actually, the July 10 puts, but you're not going to get paid much on them. Okay, a lot going on. I'm getting out of breath here. Top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. Let's do it. Don't forget, we have to do a year-over-year recap as well. Don't forget, always visit johnsalama.substack.com. A lot of this is written out. If you don't have time to watch the video, a lot of it is reports, charts, vol surface scan, and so on. It's really great stuff. Subscribe. Number 1 gainer of the past 5 days, and I said, hey, better way to invest in losers or trade in losers. You could do, the recoveries, but those are signals. There's many ways to do this. Heavy 200-day moving average, but look at this, above 50 RSI. It's done that before. Then you have peaks and then it drops. Really, I like to see at least a stabilization of 200-day moving average, which is confirmation of the public saying things are less bad because the 200 days not absolutely falling off a cliff. Nat gas, people have time over time in the way it's calculated and borrowed. And it's not the futures. It's nat gas UNG. The consensus is lower. KWEB, the consensus is lower, okay? So I want to see a changing of the guard truly. So I personally wait for names like this. KWEB, though, has had a rocketing 6% week, okay? Today, and that's what I'm saying, today it's digesting, is it reversing? It is down 30 bips. It's had a monstrous run off of its 52-week low, okay, at $23 to $26. To be frank, we had called, I'm checking my notes here, on the 26th, we had called for a dead cat bounce to 25.80. And look at this on my cursor here. It's 25.80. The past 3 days, it is above that here. The next level, if it were to get above that, was going to be straight up 27. And look at that, 27, where it has not been above since early June. I personally would not chase this here. I want to see this typically put in, what is this? Is this even at 1 month highs? With a 200-day moving average this heavy, I need to see at least 3 month, if not 6 month highs, and then significant consecutive closes above 50 RSI. So it has this part down. It doesn't have this part, and I'm not looking at 3 months highs. So I need to see it above its April 10th price, which was the highest it's been. Anything here. So I want to see it get above, $30. You're going to say, oh, it's so late in the game. You're going to chase it here. This is still going to be at 33, okay? So I still can get a easy 10% here. I don't want to chase her here. This already ran 10%. So more than likely, in my opinion, but doesn't have to come true, I think this is going to go mean revert and head towards about 25.5 over the next 2 to 3 weeks. If I see this start to do this and just close up around, under 27, but above 25, that's stabilization. So really, these are more signals for me. But I do think it's headed lower. I do want to kind of sell the 27 calls in July, but there's other better trades on the board. KWEB, the best trade this week, though, and that could be the first time I've seen Ethereum, and our next leader, be the best trade of the week, just to give everything back to new 52-week lows 48 hours later. So do be aware of that. So Ethereum, now we're looking at it peaking. Why are we talking about it? It's the second best ETF of the week. So they rotated into Chinese internet. I got to drink water. An absolute loser, coming off 52-week low last week. And then behold this chart. They're rotating in it. The second best ETF this week, up 5%. So this has also had a monstrous or a very strong rally off the lows for such a weak performer. I know I have a bunch of crypto folks. This was like it's had its run. And to be honest with you, for the KWEB, I wanted to get to 27 to really confirm to me that it really has that strength here. I want to get those moving averages shorter term curling higher. I want to see this go above 50 RSI for more than 10 seconds. Okay. So Ethereum, for me to prove it to me, I want to see this get to 14 handle in the ETF. It's so you can translate, do the currency for the actual Ethereum itself, but we'll do an ETF term. So it's 50 cents away from here, a little bit more than 2.5%, 3%. What I think is more than likely to happen is this thing's going to go back towards 13 even. Always check how crypto trades over the weekend, but I want to see it get to 14. I think it's going to hit that resistance of the 50-day at 14.15 and get the Kembate. Interesting day today. It's up 2.2%. VWAP is 13.51. It's below by 2 cents. Not a huge deal, but the high is 13.66. I just want to see something that's had a ridiculous 1% a day today, garnering strength in that trend. So I do want to see this get towards that 50-day before it get tackled. And again, that's a lot of price discovery. That's stuff that's been going back from early February when it was first oversold this year. So it's important to at least get to 14, stabilize there, and then you could talk about getting to this ridiculous 20, which is almost 50% away. So understand crypto and Ethereum has its work cut out for it. I'm talking about the baby steps, crawling before we can even think about running. So those are just the levels. In terms of trades, it's had a ridiculous week. If you're really like a gambler, if it closes up, if it gets at 3:55 p.m., if it's above 13:51, I think you could possibly look at. It's going to be expensive as all hail, but you can look at October, 14 calls, and then sell July's against it so you can sleep at night. All right. And the number 3 best mover, highest mover of the week, and this is the name of the video, Brazil. We opened it with already, so I'm not going to kick a dead horse on this, but up 4.5%. A lot of it coming today. Beautiful looking chart. We already gave our trades on that in the opening. Let's look at the top losers of the day. I'm getting exhausted, so if I already highlighted this, I'm not going to do it again. Worst ETF of the week, UNG, down 9%, almost 2% a day today, doing that and then some. Ugly looking. It's battling VWAP right here, right now. We already talked about the potential trades for that as well because it's having a ugly day. So that is the worst week of any ETF, down 9% net gas. The second one that had the worst week was home construction, okay? This has been in our charts a lot lately. It's been a big absolute mover. It's down 4% this week, so about 80 bips or so a day. Today, reversing up 1.5. Beautiful reversal. This one could be a little bit sloppy. I think this is going to test a low, possibly. It did it already of right here of 95, half. That's it. I was actually expecting this one to potentially go as low as $92 to $93. A beautiful hold. Don't forget, the sentiment on ITB, everyone has its own construction. There's XHB, there's REITs, understand what everything is. This group peaked all the way back here at Labor Day, okay, at $118, and has really been essentially in hell since the war started. And now it's just getting to its 50 RSI, which has had its claim for a while. This 200-day moving average should stabilize with obviously each successive close above 100, but it's not there yet. Look for this to base sub 99 as it's doing. Impressive day here of 1.5%. It's had a rotten week. Second worst ETF, still heavy there. It's 200 at 99.5. A whole lot, much ado about nothing. Honestly, I think this is a self-strangle candidate as well. It's just going to be wider bands. I think you sell the 106s and then you sell the 93s. You could do that every, sell the July. It's not going to pay you much because there's only 7 days to expiry. And then you could do August. I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. That's my trade. So more selling vol and strangles on some moving assets. And that makes sense to me. Overall, though, the direction, I want to say in the next 2-3 weeks, I believe is higher. I think it tested these lows. So understand the rally was here from the 11th, ending at a way too early June 25th coronation at 106. And then boom, tested the waters at 104. And then boom, fell quickly. I do think this is heading higher to this trafficy point at about 103 before that ends in the coming next 2-3 weeks. So also an idea would be selling. I like the idea of selling those 96 puts in July. August, if you're a little bit more risk hungry. And always, like I said, do the spread against it. And then lastly, ARCG, I am in this one with a stop, 0.5% away. New 52-week highs for this baby just 4 days ago. Above 50 RSI since Memorial Day when it got above a 200 moving average. Very strong chart. I would love it to hold. This is Kathy's basket of genomics. A momentum breakout this past week. I wouldn't chase this one here. Very similar to XBI chart, so I don't want to kill a dead horse. I think this is going to mean revert. That's why it probably gets taken out in the next 2 weeks, down to 39 even, and my stop is above that. These candles are getting bigger in terms of volatility. Beautiful hold of 40.5 going until June 26th. I just think due to the extreme chasing, I think this one heads lower with a 39 handle over the next 2-3 weeks, and then that'll be your invitation to get in. I don't want to sell calls in a very strong primary trend like that. I don't want to buy puts either, just for a short term. What trades wrapped up crushed this week? If you were short nat gas, if you were long KWEB, and if you were long Ethereum, congrats, you absolutely crushed this here week. Now, as we close out, top trade of the year on 52-week basis, y'all, year over year, the trade since last July to today, okay? And we're going to be talking about 3 of them. Number 1, South Korea, Hynix, I believe, went an IPO today on its own over there. So this group is not going anywhere. It is number 1 in your hearts and also in my charts. Rhymes. South Korea, the figure is 151. I'm not talking about the alcohol, although it is Friday night. Up 151% year over year. And guess what? I think this one's setting up right here now. It had not a great week, down 3.5%, 4%. This one, the money flow has, so when folks get out, has been a little bit ugly in Korea recently. I'm talking about in the last couple of weeks. I do think this is a pickup just due to the strength and the constituency of what makes up EWY between Samsung, Hynix, folks probably playing basket trades, basket versus single name now of that Hynix. I like this pickup under 192. It comes with risk, but I do think it'll get back towards 220 in 2 to 3 weeks. Call me crazy. Maybe a little bit, maybe closer to early August, but I do think this one will get back to its ways. I am a breakout trader, so I need essentially new all-time highs here to get involved. So no breakout levels here. And again, also one thing, if you just want to be you need confirmation, wait for the 50 RSI. That's all. That's like going to correspond with the close above 192, and then boom, it's going to 220. That's it. It's the top trade of the year. Of 151%. And folks say, it's like, oh, you said, silver was the top trade of the year. Now look at it. Yeah, only difference is this was 4 weeks. What is that? 3 weeks ago, all-time high. So I give a dog a bone. And the 200 days still $50 away. So come on. And number 2 best trade, as I speed up here before we get out, stocks. I'm not talking about the ones on your feet. Semiconductors up 137%. So just a little bit behind South Korea because they're the gens over there. Also a little bit of scary money flow just recent since the sell-off, but it's very short term. 1 week a trend does not make. I like the pickups here. These have massive moves. Today it's flat. You saw them dug their heels on June 9th. You saw them have a big day on July 7th because, and you're like, what? It lost 5%. I know. The low is 536. VWAP was 549. They closed at 552. That's strength to me, and it's had a up move since then from 548 to 580. So I like pickups under 586. It's at 50 RSI right here. I think this one is headed to about 650 in the next 3 weeks by the end of August, by the end of July. It is the number 2 best trade of all ETFs in the world in the past year. And lastly, XBI. I could have went EWT, but it's very correlated with the first 2. So for the sake of uncorrelated alpha, it is the XBI, which we already highlighted. New highs just yesterday. It's the number 3 best trade in the book. But listen to this. There's catch-up trades here. XBI up 80%. EWI and stocks are up 150, 140. Okay, so XBI already talked about as well. The number 3 best trade. You get setups in these names. I would get involved. All right, have an awesome weekend. We are in mid-July, y'all. Enjoy it. Peace.